I'm live again. Hello to anyone who rewatches this, because no one is here yet. Alright, let's see here. Going to be talking about the paranormal some more. Let's get this shared on Twitter. Hello, everyone. I know how it is when people hurt your feelings. I'm glad we're good friends. Yeah, that's never fun when people hurt your feelings. I don't like that at all. And thank you. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to see that you are back. Looks like we've got 2 people here so far. I'm glad that you're both back. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to tweet this out. Let's see. Let's see, what do I even want to say? But anyway, yeah, I took a nap, but now I'm back and gonna talk about the paranormal some more. I was thinking of maybe opening it up more to you guys, maybe taking some questions, whether it's about the paranormal or otherwise. Oh, thank you so much. That means so much to me. I'm your favorite Christmas elf. Any suggestions? Could you give me a little more detail on it? Maybe I can help you out. Also, you guys, is this lighting good, do you think? Do I need like more light on me? Because I can do that. I'm gonna try to decide what I even want to say for tweeting this out still. Live again. Come talk about paranormal and ask questions. Slash 90. Paranormal. And I'm taking your questions. Okay, sorry if this takes a bit, you guys. I'm just trying to get everything just right. But that also gives people time to get here, I guess. So, how is everyone tonight? Weirdly enough, the viewer counter doesn't seem to be matching the amount of people that are actually here so far. So that's odd. I'm not actually sure how many people are here right now. Alright, whatever. I'm just gonna tweet what I just typed. Alright, welcome everyone. So I was live earlier and then I took a nap because I was pretty tired. I also got some food, so I'm feeling fairly refreshed. We're going to talk more about the paranormal. I was thinking I could open it up to like any weird experiences you guys have had if you want to like type them in the chat or ask questions. And I've also got these 9 terrifying true life Ouija board stories that I looked up. They're short, but they should be good, and I can read through those and see what everyone thinks of that. I always want to get this stuff just right. Like, I should really be more focused when I'm getting ready for these, because I'm the type of person that likes to get everything just right. If things aren't just right, it bugs me a lot. But I think I'm good to go. And says we got 5 people here. Hey, Panic Treasure. Thank you so much for joining us. We're talking about the paranormal. You can also ask me any questions. You can share your own paranormal stories. But anyway, everyone, without further ado, I'm going to get started reading the first Ouija board story. Actually, there's a little introduction here. I'll read that. I'm on destinationamerica.com. It's an article on there, so they get the credit. And I'm actually going to open this in a different window so I can see the chat at the same time. So just do that real quick. Okay. Elijah Bond, a businessman from Maryland, obtained the patent for the Ouija board in the 1890s and marketed them to the public as a parlor game. Although it can be purchased in the toy aisle of some stores to this day, the Ouija is actually a very powerful tool used to communicate with spirits and should be treated with care and respect. The following 9 stories come from real-life experiments with the spirit board that ended up more terrifying than playful. Let's hope things get spooky here. I had an experience in my room the other night. It was about 4 a.m. I felt a presence. That sounds interesting. Is that what you were going through that you wanted some suggestions on, or is that something else entirely? If you give me more details, I can try to give you advice on that. But in the meantime, I will read the first story here called Get the Boy. Now, these are really short. This is literally only 2 paragraphs, so, you know, be prepared for that. My friend had mentioned that she had one, so I asked her to pull the board out so I could check it out. At first she said no, but then agreed to do it as long as she didn't have to participate. After she had the board set up, I asked, "Is there anyone in here?" Nothing. So, being a dumb teenager, I said, "If anything is in here and not talking, you're a coward." The board was put away after that. Fast forward about a week later, I wake up on a stereotypical stormy night. Thunder and lightning, wind and rain, the works. I look around to see why I woke up and couldn't see a thing, and decide to try and fall back asleep. After laying there for about 30 seconds, I hear from downstairs, "Get the boy," in a very raspy, wispy voice. I open my eyes and listen. Nothing. Start to go back to sleep. "Get the boy." It was much louder this time. Then my downstairs, or the hell am I saying? Then my downstairs door slammed shut. I freak the F out because nobody slept down there and we had no drafts. Nothing really happened after that. I learned my lesson. Sounds fairly creepy. Okay, that was what you wanted suggestions on? A problem with your landlord? Hmm. Well, I think I would need more detail to really be able to offer advice on that. Um, but let me think here. Let me make sure everything's in order. Well, if you're having an issue with feeling an unwanted presence in your home, I would say that you're attracting it to you for one reason or another. So you want to try to sort of make peace with that. There are a number of things you can do. A lot of people suggest using things like sage that can sort of clear the area. I would recommend working with your own mindset about it, working with your vibration and figuring out what it is that this unwanted presence is reflecting in you that is drawing it to you in the first place, and do your best to work with that issue or challenge and move it into a better feeling place if you can. And if you want to provide more detail, I can try to help you out some more. I just woke up from a nap a little while ago, so hopefully I'm thinking as clearly as I should be. So, are you guys ready for the next story? Because I think it's coming right up. Actually, how is this lighting? Does anyone have any opinions on the lighting? Like, should I put more light on me? Or is this good? It's okay? Alright. We'll stick with this then. Your landlord's trying to evict you? That's a sticky situation. I mean, I wouldn't know much about that personally. I've never had that issue. But I guess if he's doing it lawfully, there's not really anything you can do about it in that sort of objective sense. But if he's trying to do it unlawfully, you might be able to do something there. I have the money he wants. October's around. I need to get him off my back. So you have the money, but he's still coming after you for it? I've heard of problematic landlords before being quite persistent. I'm going to read the next Ouija board story here real quick. Alright, this is called Talk to the Sun. Doing the board with 6 or 7 people, only one of my friends knows Latin, and he is not touching the oracle. The contact starts speaking to us in Latin. This same friend later pulled his hand back from the oracle, having received what looked like a small scratch on his wrist. Not bleeding, but bright red, as if fresh. His girlfriend at the time was plagued by a contact they had made, and would wake with strange bruises on her legs. We also contacted something that called itself Z, We think Z was trying to escape, as our friend who was conducting the session told us not to let anything touch all four corners. My friend asked Z if it was an enlightened being, to which it responded, yes. When my friend asked Z how it unlocked all of its chakras, it began to travel back and forth between the picture of the sun and the picture of the medium using the board. These pictures are on two of the corners of the board. This motion increased violently in speed until my friend rather rudely shouted, okay, okay, talk to the sun, I get it. I'm still not exactly sure what any of this meant. That's very odd. What do you guys think of that? Like, I don't know if I would exactly be... I personally wouldn't exactly be using a Ouija board to seek out an enlightened being, but that's just me. Let's see here. The presence was welcoming. I see. The presence was welcoming. Well, then that's not bad then. Oh, hey there, Ryan. Welcome back. Did you miss anything fun? No. Just my being a bit overly perfectionistic as usual, trying to get everything just right for the stream. And we're talking about paranormal stuff mainly. I've got Ouija board stories that I'm reading here, and also taking any stories or questions from you guys. Even I stay away from those boards, lol. Yeah, so do I. Let's see, I feel like I missed something. Oh yeah, I think, wait, a little more light. Yeah, I think we are gonna need a little more light because we just got blurry. So let's just try this. I think that should help. Wait. What religion do I belong to? I don't belong to any particular religion. I just kind of believe what I believe. So, like, I'm not an atheist. I'm not agnostic. I'm not any of that. Even I'm not. I just say I have no religion. I just have spiritual beliefs, basically. Ooh, hot cocoa. That sounds good. No, why are we blurry? It's not supposed to happen. Hang on. Okay. All right. Okay, we're good. I used to use a Ouija board, and the Ouija board, to me, seems to know the future. It seems to know my future. Ooh, interesting. Why are we blurry again? Seems to know my future. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that before, like the Ouija board predicting people's future, or well, maybe entities that you talk to on there, predicting your future, basically. Oh God, I feel like there's something else I was gonna say. What was it? I don't remember. Keeping my beliefs all wholesome. Yeah, indeed. Was out of work, got behind, have all except October. Used Ouija before as well. I see. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm going to respond to that, but now I remember what I wanted to say. It's just weird because I went live earlier today, and I thought that because it was earlier when more people should be awake theoretically, because I think most of my audience is like in or around my time zone. Despite that, I only got a couple of viewers, but right now it says I've got 7 viewers, and it's like later on in the night. So I think my audience is like a mix of like night owls, you know, creatures of the night like myself. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. and like international people in other time zones, and maybe even creatures of the night in other time zones. I mean, that's probably it, right? Okay, let's see here. Yeah, so when you're in a tight situation with money like that, like full disclaimer, I'm not one who is great with money to begin with, so maybe I'm not the best one to get advice from. Regarding that, I can only give you like the law-based answers that I'm aware of, which is that when that kind of resistance pops up, it's always something that you've attracted, having insufficient money. And so it's, without getting really deep into it, what you always want to do is try to release your resistance to that and realize that you're the one who is attracting the money and determining how much money you attract. And my best advice when it comes to money, because for most people, it's such a difficult subject and so resistance laden, is to do your best to surrender. And that really means surrender to the present moment and surrender, like try to fully accept the state of not having money, which I know sounds extremely difficult. But basically, on a very pure vibrational level, unless you want to work extra hard for the money, like perform some action to earn the money, which you certainly can do also. But like say, you're only getting so much through your job and that's not an option for you right now. The only way that you're going to let in more money is if you release your resistance to it, is if you let go, is if you surrender. And so admittedly, that is difficult, but that's my answer. That's my best advice when it comes to that. And I would also advise that you do the best that you absolutely can to follow your bliss and follow your excitement, as I always advise people for any situation. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Thoughts on spirit boxes. Those are interesting. I mean, I'm not highly familiar with them, but I guess if the premise of them is accurate, it does seem like some kind of phenomena would have to be taking place, because again, unless this information is incorrect, my understanding is that a spirit box is like sweeping through different like radio frequencies, and so when you get some kind of voice on it or whatever, it almost has to be something paranormal, because it's literally changing frequencies constantly. At least that's how, that's what I've heard of. So I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know enough about it though to really give like a solid answer for that. Let's see here. Ghost radar connect. I have an app called Ghost Radar. I'm not sure if that's the same thing. I have that on my phone. That's been interesting before. Some people claim to get really wild results with that. I don't know if I have personally, really, but I don't know. I actually made a video about that like a long time ago, kind of on my vlogging channel, Neurotic Navigations. Let's see. She asked only two things: will I have children, and will I marry, and what will be the first letter of the last name? Answer: she got 3 kids, and the letter H. Turns out the board was 100% correct. Spooky. Well, that is spooky. I guess it kind of makes sense, considering that, I mean, who knows what one who is using a Ouija board is potentially tapping into, but my understanding of non-physical is that it exists outside of time. And time is just, this is so hard to wrap our minds around, but time is like a product or a, searching for the right word, the exact right word. Time is an attribute of our physical reality. And so when you're outside of this system of reality, time doesn't mean what it means to us. In fact, it might not mean much of anything. And so if you are, if it's true that all time is simultaneous and you're contacting entities that are outside of our system of reality through the Ouija board or through whatever really, then it is plausible that they could literally see into the quote unquote future, because for them, there is no future. Or maybe in ultimate reality, there is no future, essentially. It's all now. So, very interesting stuff. I don't follow religion either, just spiritual practices. I'm very interested in learning about Lucifer. Ooh, interesting. Lucifer, the morning star. Lucifer connected to Venus. Hang on a second. Yeah, like, I guess I'm a pretty spiritual person, but at the same time, I don't have a religion. But some of the things I believe in will parallel some religions, I guess. I guess that some of the things I believe in, apparently, like Buddhists believe in, and I don't know. I just kind of use what works for me and go with that. But learning about Lucifer, yeah, that's an interesting subject. I think a lot of people actually found me on this channel through a video I did on Luciferianism 5 years ago that ended up becoming like way more popular than almost any other video I've ever done, which I was not expecting when I filmed it. So I'm not really sure what I could say about that now beyond what I said in that video years ago, other than perhaps talking about the theoretical connection with the planet Venus, which I'm now more familiar with because of my study of astrology. Yeah, you did, yeah, and you probably did, yeah. Well, to my understanding, I'm trying to remember exactly the right dynamic for this or whatever. I think the issue is that, like, Lucifer, the word Lucifer is Latin for Venus, and it refers to the morning star, which, weirdly enough, I guess there's a biblical passage where Jesus identified himself as the morning star, which is a whole nother rabbit hole we could go down. But it's very interesting because Venus is the planet of beauty, and Venus is also the feminine planet. And you hear that associated with Lucifer, essentially. And what I also hear a lot, or have come across in my research, is this idea that, you know, Satan and Lucifer are not the same. That like if you were to compare Satanism to Luciferianism, and this is going to be a significant oversimplification because this is a much more complicated subject than this, in my opinion, at least from what I've seen over the years. But if you were to sort of oversimplify things, Satanism could be looked at as more of a rebellious sort of stance, whereas Luciferianism is more of a like going one's own way without pushing against anything, like, so sort of without the rebellion, that kind of stance. Again, I don't practice either of these. I have no religion. I just research these things and become familiar with them to some extent. And so it's interesting as I think more about it now, because it's like, if we're going to associate Lucifer with Venus and thus therefore the feminine principle, well, the Christian God, God, how do I even explain this? I want to say this. I want to translate this to terms that are easily understood. This is my strongest theory on it at this point. Because of man's development around the time that, I guess, Christianity came about and similar religions came about up until the modern day, the specific religious drama involving this type of God, you know, this idea of a wrathful God, a vengeful God, was sort of like a natural outpouring or outgrowth of man's ego, man's consciousness at that time. And it's almost like, I would almost say that man needed that. But because of that, God, in like Christian or similar religious terms to that, took on basically this masculine, egoic persona, you know. Whereas Lucifer, it almost seems like that would be the feminine counterpart. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't have this fully fleshed out yet, but I can definitely see the parallels now that this is sort of brought up and I'm kind of focusing on this. Whereas, like, and it you know, everything is a reflection of consciousness anyway. Everything's a reflection of what we've got going on in our psyche and the collective human psyche. And so it could very well be that the Christian God represents the masculine male ego force, and the idea of Lucifer, or even Satan, actually represents the feminine, the female polarity. And different people of different predispositions will gravitate to each of those for their own reasons. So yeah, guess I'm starting to wake up a little bit here and be able to explain these things, hopefully well enough to be understood. What do we have here? But I did switch over to what I am now. Thanks, you honestly were very accurate. Thank you, I'm glad that I was. Hello there, Miss Poison. Hello again, good to see you again. Hi there, Jadalyn, not sure how to say your name, but thank you so much. I'm glad you love my vids. Sticks hand up repping the Satanist side. Well, I am pleased to have you here, the representative of the Satanist side. So any other questions you guys have on any of this or anything? Hang on. It was creepy. I gave my soul to Satan, asked him to show me he was real, and then later I saw an upside down cross made out of clouds in the dark sky. Ooh. Interesting. Upside down cross made out of clouds in the dark sky. Yeah, stuff like that can happen. Like even if you even if you're like an atheist and don't believe in like Satan or anything like that, the idea is that, well, your thoughts create reality to begin with, and so even if there was no Satan or anything, I mean, I personally don't believe there's an actual entity of that nature, although there might be. But if there is, it's not, in my opinion, what most people think that it is. But that's another issue. But regardless, because your thoughts create reality, like if you say something like that, like you're gonna give your soul to Satan or something like that, or sell your soul to the devil, you know, whether there's anything like to that or not, you're likely to attract things that sort of confirm that, you know, because your beliefs form reality. So once you believe something, you're going to attract stuff that supports that belief, is essentially what I'm saying. We just lost a few viewers. Oh no. Am I being boring? Does no one want to hear this intellectual stuff? I better go back to the Ouija board stories. Upside down cross, at least according to Christianity, is a cross of St. Peter. Interesting. Saw 3 crows yesterday at work. Fascinating. Not sure what that might symbolize, but I've heard the theory also, though, that that basically everything can have a symbolic meaning. But then I think there are people who think that maybe that's just magical thinking, what they call. But I'm not quite sure where my opinion lies on that at the moment. Though I think I would err on the side of everything potentially having a symbolic meaning just because of the nature of reality itself. But the meaning is only there if you look for it. And it could even be that basically life is meaningless and we give it meaning. We create the meaning by deciding what, how we define things and what we believe. All right, story number 3. Dude, that's my social security number. All right. I got a call from my cousin who said that he, his brother, his dad, and his best friend were using a Ouija in their basement. Prior to starting, they took a large porcelain doll out of the room because it was creepy and placed it in an adjacent room face down on a pile of towels. My cousin took a short break because the board was just spouting nonsense and he went to take a shit. Wow, vulgar. His dad and brother and friends started asking the board questions without him. One of the questions was, who is in the other room? It just started spouting random numbers, and when my cousin came back into the room, his brother said that it wasn't working, that they were going to put it away, and he showed him the answer to the last question he asked, and he said, dude, that's my social security number. Creepy. What do you guys think of that? I don't know what you think as I'm waiting for the delay, but I definitely know what I think. And that is that I probably will go live more often at nighttime because I have more viewers now than I did earlier, and that's the opposite of what I expected. All right, yeah, I still don't know my social security number. Like, I know parts of it, but I have to always look to see what it is whenever I need to provide it. I guess I'm not enough of an adult yet. I'm not enough of an adult, you guys. Oh no. And oh no, we're blurry again. Okay. Alright, so if anyone just joined recently, since I can't tell who is coming and leaving, we are indeed talking about the paranormal. I'm reading some creepy Ouija board stories, and I'm taking your questions. And we're having a grand old time, as they say. I had a Monster energy drink earlier, by the way. So I don't know if that's still affecting me now or not. But then I had a nap, so I guess I'm refreshed. I think I'm getting hungry again already, which is annoying because I just ate earlier. But whatever. I guess that thing boosted my metabolism. That makes 2 of us, right? All right, story number 4. Wow, this is just one short paragraph, but it's called Suddenly My Back Started to Sting. Ooh, okay. When I was a kid, I played with a Ouija board with my friends. Everyone except me believed in spirits, so I kept asking the board to do more physical things, like tap my shoulder. The piece never moved, but suddenly my back started to sting. There were 3 handprints on my back, and they were red and puffy like I'd been slapped. I refused to touch a board again. Pretty creepy. You have a paranormal story, Ryan? Do tell, do tell. This is the whole idea of this chat. We're going to talk about the paranormal, the good paranormal stuff. So we're just going to kind of chill out here for a bit. Let the delay sort of, let the chat catch up with the delay. So it's literally only 4 degrees Celsius here, which is just above freezing for those who don't know. And yes, I'm in America, but I use the Celsius temperature scale because I find I prefer it. And it is taking this room some time to warm up. Pretty short though, basically every once in a while, then When alone and always early in the morning, like 4 to 6 a.m. I'll let you type while I look at the next story. Also, by the way, thank you everyone who's watching this. Like, thank you so much. This is really cool. I'm glad that we've got some people here watching. Like, that makes me really happy. And remember, I'm answering any questions you want to ask about the paranormal or otherwise. And we're now going to read the next story. It's called Something Demonic Was Present. I got my board after months of harmless paranormal activity in my house. When I contacted something, the planchette started doing figure eights across the board, which is a huge no-no. That means something demonic was present. I didn't touch it for months. When I tried again, I asked where the spirit was in the room. My vision went spotty. I saw a vivid image of my head jerking back, and the words, "with you," were whispered into my ear by something I couldn't see. I sold the board. Wow. All right. Basically, every once in a while, when alone and always early in the morning, like 4 to 6 a.m., I'll hear like an electric whistle. That's the best way I can describe it. It's very high-pitched, shrill, and kind of has a tempo. Very odd, and I can never get used to it. Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, that is very odd, an electric whistle. I think I've heard something about that where it could be a sign or an indicator of tuning into other frequencies that exist, you know, just other fields of vibration or whatever. But beyond that, I'm not quite sure what to think. I mean, sometimes I'll hear like a ringing in my ears, but I think that's just from years of loud music. But I don't think that's quite what you're describing. An electric whistle. Excellent info. Love the way you explained Lucifer. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that. All right, so how are you guys doing? How is everyone? Like, enough about me. Let's hear more about you. It's not the loudness ringing. Okay, this story is called I Blacked Out for a Full Minute. When I was 15, my grandma asked me to use a board to contact my uncle who died at birth. At first, it seemed we were talking to my uncle, but as time went on, the personality of my uncle changed. He got mean and possessive, and finally the spirit told me that it had my uncle and was coming for me. I blacked out for a full minute. When I came to, the light bulbs in the kitchen had popped, and there was glass everywhere. We never played again. Wow, that's fairly unsettling. I would say that's just an entity playing tricks, though. Not to ruin the spooky vibe or anything for anyone. I hope I'm not doing that, but I just got to say this idea of the spirit said it had his uncle and was coming for him. Yeah, no spirit or entity is going to have anyone who has passed on in that way. That's just not how the universe works, at least to the best of my knowledge. I mean, hey, maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I know, it doesn't work like that. And there's a lot of, I've heard at least, there's a lot of mischievous entities out there that, especially if you do something as theoretically risky as using a Ouija board, are going to try to trick you and fool you into all kinds of stuff anyway, for their own reasons. Wait, what do we have here? Not boring and wonderful? Thank you. Thank you so much, Team Bay. Want to be blurry. That didn't fix it. Okay. It's kind of like do, then it pauses and does it again, then it just stops. That is odd. Well, I've read from the Seth material primarily that in very basic terms, no system of reality is closed, and that there are various kinds of bleed-throughs from different systems of reality, and that there are probably as many systems of reality as anyone could possibly imagine, and more, probably infinite systems of reality with all kinds of different beings, some that are so strange that if we were to ever perceive them, we would be completely confused at what we were looking at or by what we were looking at. So maybe the strange ringing or whatever that you're hearing is from another system of reality. I think it could be that a lot of phenomena are actually that, and we just don't realize it because we have no reason to believe otherwise. I don't believe in spirituality being very so vivid in physical sense like that. Being very so vivid in physical sense like that. Spirituality being very like the lights popping. I'm not sure what I believe in that area. I've heard a lot of strange things over the years, but it's hard to say how many are true. So if you just joined, we are reading some creepy paranormal stories and also telling our own stories. And I'm answering questions. And the next story is called I Can See You Through His Eyes. This one's actually 2 full paragraphs, so wow, we're really getting pretty long here. I was about 12 or 13 spending the night at a friend's house, goofing around with the Ouija board with him and his sister, and we were getting all sorts of gibberish plus words spelled out, just kind of scaring ourselves for fun, not taking it very seriously when we got the message, I can see you through the window, and then I can see you through his eyes, or something like that. There was just a small window in the basement room where we were, and just the backyard and woods past the driveway visible through that window. We asked it more questions, and it said, I'm under the car. So we somehow got up the nerve to go out with a flashlight and peer under the car, where we saw a huge black stray cat which was hissing. That's kind of freaky. We ran inside, freaking out, and at that exact moment the power failed and all the lights in the house went out. We just about actually shit ourselves. More vulgarity. A few minutes later the power came back and we sat up till dawn that night scared and never played with the board again. Ooh, that one was pretty good. I like that one. That was pretty freaky. A huge black stray cat which was hissing when the board said, I'm under the car. Oh my god. I love it. Some odd animal or electrical equipment. Yeah, who knows, it could be. I think I used to hear, like, maybe I sometimes still do, like, late at night when I go to sleep, I'll hear, I don't know what it is, like it sounds like some kind of machinery or something, maybe even coming from outside, but it doesn't sound like anything that should be nearby my house. And I'm thinking, what the hell are the neighbors doing exactly? You know, like what? You know, it almost sounds like something coming from like their basement or something, but I could be completely imagining that. It's like, what have my neighbors got going on down there in their basement? You know, jeez, what's going on down there? All right, I'm gonna take a little break to check my phone. Give my voice a bit of a rest. Not much new there. Let's take a quick look at Twitter. I wonder if anyone has joined the stream from my Twitter, but just hasn't said so. All right, next story. This one is called Days to Live. We all asked a question that only the person asking would know the answer to. One question that somebody asked was, "What was the name of the boat I went on a cruise on when I was 6? It answered, "We played with this thing forever. We had cold spot experiences and would place a candle where the cold spot was, and the candle would burn sideways, not straight up and down. One night we all asked it how long we had left to live, and this is where it gets scary. Everybody asked, and they had 50 to 60 plus years left. I go to ask, and it says 10. I ask 10 years, and it says days." That's... Well, did they write this story like 10 days later, or like less than 10 days later or more? I don't know what to think about that. But I guess that would be kind of scary to experience. I haven't encountered roadside ghosts, but it kind of brings to mind, in the stream I did earlier, we were talking about dogmen, like dogman encounters. And I heard this story years ago of apparently, and I don't remember all the details, but apparently these, I don't know what they were, if they were military men or construction workers or something, but they had to stop like by the side of the road at some point, and they thought they saw these 2 dogmen, and this sounds like ridiculous, but they thought they saw them smoking cigarettes, or maybe they were driving by and saw that. But regardless, a period of time passed, and then they went back to look to see like if they could see anything more, and they didn't see any dogmen, but allegedly they looked down and they saw 2 cigarettes just smoldering or whatever on the ground, as if someone or something had indeed been there. So I don't know about that one. That one seems kind of silly, but still pretty weird. Route 66. Now I want to pull that up on a map, which I think I'll just do right here. Funny enough, we have, I guess it's called, well, I don't even know if it's called Interstate Highway technically or whatever, but we've got like Route 322 near here, just like 10 minutes away, and that's a powerful sort of occult number. And to my knowledge, it's because of its relationship to astrology, though some people claim other relations, I guess. But I think that's funny that I would just happen to be located next to a number like that, considering that Depends on how much you're willing to believe, but some people believe that our higher minds communicate to us through things like numbers a lot of times. Oh, and actually, that's funny. Route 66 is not even that far from where I am. Now I'm looking at a map. Um, like, the nearest part of it would be, to the best of my knowledge, roughly an hour away from here, I think, from where I am located at this time. So that's interesting. Then there's Route 666, I see, which goes through the forest, Allegheny National Forest in my state, as does Route 66, I now see. Very interesting. Route 666 and Route 66 through Allegheny National Forest. I bet there's some dogmen in there. Wait, Elf on the Shelf paranormal? Paranoid experiments made you into a local celebrity? Ooh, that's interesting. So wait, like, is it haunted then? Or I'm not sure I understand completely. Yeah, that's another interesting subject. This idea of like creepy haunted dolls. Like, have you guys ever heard of that? And like people will go on sites like eBay and bid, I guess, a lot of money for ownership of these haunted dolls. That's like a thing, like a collectible thing, and some of them have really unsettling stories surrounding them. So I did, I think, a couple of videos on that before. So that's some very interesting and creepy stuff. Yes, Elf on the Shelf is haunted. Interesting. Blurry again, so I'm gonna use my hand. There we go. All right. The next story is called "We Eventually Broke Our Lease and Moved." My wife and I had some unexplained things going on in the house we were renting, so we got a board so we could try to figure out what we were dealing with. Bad idea. The board was just a standard plain board. We used it one night to speak with, hopefully, our spirit. What we didn't realize is that Ouija boards open the door for anything to come through and speak. The looking piece flew off the board near the end of our session, and we had no real answers to anything. We were speaking with something. This is not written well. I think it's meant to say, and we had no real answers to anything. We were speaking with something, but it was very evasive with its answers. Things got worse in the house, and we eventually broke our lease and moved. Radios and TVs going on by themselves and water running. After the board, though, things got bad. Voices, moving objects, and my wife says I got possessed one night, but I can't validate that as I was asleep. Well, I would say he was either that, like his being asleep, or he was possessed, and that's why you can't validate it. Okay, interesting. Why blurry again? No. I hope my like quirky personality isn't driving people away. It's like driving me crazy. I shouldn't look at the view counter, I guess, or the people counter. I'm like worried I'm going to drive people away. Yeah, these stories are fun. Wait, inside a cat display room? Interesting. Mandy, a reputedly haunted doll at Quesnel and District Museum. I've never heard of that one, I don't think. I've heard of, just off the top of my head, I guess the real life doll that Annabelle was based on, as well as Robert the doll. That's a really famous one. I think Shane Dawson talked about that in one of his videos, which that's an interesting subject. Have any of you guys been watching any of Shane Dawson's videos? Like, he's made a lot of like creepy paranormal ones, or even just like his latest ones. That would be an interesting subject for discussion. Let's see, that's the end of the Ouija board stories on this site, but I can always look up more. But let's just chill out for a bit, sort of see where this goes. I'm blurry again. Maybe a little more light would help. Okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. I'm working with rather rudimentary technology here. I've got, I've only got what I've got. So, what else can we talk about? Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. If you're just joining, I'm taking questions. We're talking about the paranormal, but we can talk about other things too. Let's see, what else can I talk about to you guys? Well, earlier I mentioned Route 322 and basically the occult significance of that number. I guess I can explain that briefly. Which is funny because I've heard a lot of people talk about this, but they know that 322, or they suspect that 322 has some significance, but they don't seem to know what it is. And I'm just here like being like, I've studied astrology. It's obvious what it is to someone like me who studied astrology. And it's that the astrological cycle, the zodiac, begins with Aries and ends with Pisces. And March 22nd is at the very beginning of it. And so you have 322. Like 322 is March 22nd, basically. And it represents that point where an ending turns into a new beginning. So the very end of Pisces season, very beginning of Aries season, that's the significance of it, at least from an astrological perspective. And I don't really know why that's hard for people to sort of figure out and grasp, but whatever. I don't know why that's not more like widely known, basically. Though I have heard other people say that and figure it out. Some ice cream. Ooh, nice. All right, we'll see you in a bit. My local animal shelter is a 5-star animal shelter. Very nice inside. It has a glass cat display room inside the lobby with everybody sits to adopt a cat and dog. You can watch the cats. That sounds pretty cool. Nice. There's an animal shelter, I think like a 15-minute drive or so away from here, from where I am. Let's see here. What else can we talk about? I might have to go get something to eat soon myself. So I'm getting pretty hungry. But I want to stay on at least a little bit longer, talk to you guys. But like, even if I go away to or even if I get off to eat something, I can come back later. Which I probably will. So how are you guys on this spooky Saturday night? I guess a lot of people are probably out having fun tonight, It's a Saturday night. But we're here having just as much fun in the digital realm, talking about the paranormal, going live, having fun. Thank you so much, Chris. I'm glad that you enjoy this. Yeah, I'm definitely noticing, like, this is only my second day of live streaming, for those who don't know, and I'm definitely noticing that, like, the more people that are here and the more people that comment, the, like, way more interesting it is. Because, like, with it being just, like, if I was the only one here, like, if no one was watching yet, like, at the start of the stream, I almost don't know what to talk about. Like, there's things I can talk about, but I can't really think of them. So, like, when people ask questions or make comments, it makes it a lot easier to get into interesting discussions, I've noticed. So, oh, I know what we can do. We can again look at some of the recent paranormal news like we were earlier. See if we can find any interesting stories to go over and talk about. Where the hell is it? No, we definitely don't want that tab open. Where the hell is my paranormal? There it is. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and those who are watching right now. Like, thank you so much, guys. This wouldn't be much of a show now, would it? So let's see. Do you have any preferences of what we look at? We've got stuff that is bizarre, stuff on cryptozoology, stuff on ghosts and hauntings. Those are usually the most interesting categories. Oh, okay. Maybe I will look you up on Google here in a bit then. You just see here. How about ghosts and hauntings? Haunted old tunnels of Sacramento. I've heard a lot of weird things before about haunted tunnels, you know? Like a lot of creepy stuff that allegedly goes on in these various caves and tunnels throughout the world. Ghosts with glowing eyes photographed where 7 monks burned to death in the 1500s. Freaky. Voodoo dolls mysteriously appear throughout Russian village. Ooh, that sounds interesting. The sinister case of the Bell Witch. Oh my god, the Bell Witch. That is a weird phenomenon that I heard about years ago, like almost from the start when I first was learning about the paranormal, basically. Like when I discovered Ghostly Talk, and I was only like 15, one of the first things they talked about was the Bell Witch, which is like this crazy poltergeist that, I mean, I can't remember everything by now, it's been a while, but I mean, this wasn't just like a typical poltergeist, this was like an all-out like entity, like interacting with people and stuff. It's just, it was crazy. Welcome back, Ryan. Have you ever heard of the Gray School of Wizardry? No, I have not. What is that, if you don't mind my asking? Let's see here. Before we go further, Christopher wants me to Google Douglas County Animal Shelter. Christopher Elf. All right. Let's see what we get here. It's taking me to Pinterest. That was the first result. Ice cream. I wish I had some ice cream right now. That sounds amazing. Like, what kind of ice cream is it, if you don't mind my asking? That's wanting me to sign in and everything. Oh, I see it. Wait, why did it change the picture? Cool. Christopher Kitty Cat Elf inside the display window at the Douglas County Animal Shelter, Douglasville, Georgia. Deer. Okay, wait. Oh, that's so interesting. How did you get into a position? You know, like how did you get like a gig like that or whatever, for lack of a better word? Let's see. Cookies and cream sounds delicious. Yeah, I can see it right now. That's so cool. Inside there with the cats. Yep. Special permission. Cool. Wait. No, I missed something. It's an online school for Wicca kind of stuff. College of Wizardry. Oh, that's interesting. Gray School of Wizardry. Fascinating. I haven't really heard of much stuff like that before, like online schools for stuff like that. But, well, other than like a couple, but I think they had more to do with like learning tarot and stuff like that, I think. So that's fascinating. I'm not quite as familiar with Wicca as I might like to be. It sounds very interesting, but I'm a little bit familiar with it. Funny enough, some of the stuff that I'm into and that I believe and stuff like that, I have in common with, I guess, practitioners of like Wicca and like witchcraft, I guess. Not that the stuff that I do is witchcraft. I'm not saying that. Just that, like, I guess a lot of witches will use astrology and tarot like I do. So it's interesting that we have like these parallels, you know. Um, but it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, I don't have a particular religion for myself. I have no religion. I just do what works for me, and so I end up having some things in common with different areas of belief and discipline. Dated a few Wiccans. Interesting. I don't know if I've had, well, I've had a few rendezvous with some Wiccans, or I don't know if they were really Wiccans or not, though, or what they were at the time, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I've drawn some strange people to me throughout the course of my life. They seem to keep popping up in my life. That's funny that I said that and then read that. Yes, literally me. Wait, I'm gonna go to my channel real quick. Okay, good. We haven't lost any more subscribers yet, so that's a good thing. I've lost like 5 subscribers or something since I started doing these live streams, because I guess not everyone's interested in them. But that's okay, you know. To each their own. It's understandable. The thing is, like, here's another thing that's sort of important to say. Basically what's happening now with me at this point is that my excitement is becoming like infinitely much more about doing these live streams than making regular YouTube videos. And so while I still plan on making the occasional YouTube video, unless my excitement shifts unexpectedly on me, you can expect a lot more live streams from me in the near future, and that to be mainly what my channel is about. So if people unsubscribe because of it, that's okay. I understand. Like that's, not everyone's interested in that. But I think it's for the best regardless because, I'd rather have subscribers that are like actually interested in what I'm wanting to present than, trying to like do stuff that isn't in alignment with what I'm about just to please people, like that's never a good idea. Let's see. Yeah, you guys like live streams? Yeah, so do I actually. I really enjoy tuning into live streams myself also. And actually, I never really thought that I'd be one to do them until I tried one the other night, and now I feel almost like addicted to it. Like this is, I love it. Can't get enough of it. Um, so we need to get to know your audience more. Yeah, yeah, I really like that because before, like with just making regular YouTube videos, I never really felt, I don't know, this sounds weird and it's like no offense to anyone, like it's nothing personal or anything, but I rarely felt the inspiration to read my comments and interact with people like I wanted to, but I rarely felt that inner drive to do that, which is always what I pay attention to. But with live streams, it's completely different. Like doing this, I love interacting with you guys, and I think it's because it's live, it's happening right now. Like I feel frustrated when it comes to YouTube comments because it feels so rigid, but like when it's live, the fact that it's happening right here, right now is what I like. Like YouTube comments just feel too, I don't know, like not spontaneous enough, not in the now enough for me to really fully enjoy. So I'm not saying I'll never read YouTube comments again, just saying that I much prefer to interact with you guys in the live streams. Like it's great. I love it. You sent some pictures to my Instagram. Okay, let's take a look here. I actually have two Instagrams, so I'm not sure which one must be my other one. And yeah, we're all friends here. Like, if you're gonna do me the honor of watching, then you're my friend, as far as I'm concerned. I haven't even looked at this Instagram in a little while. I'm at 5,855 followers. People are unfollowing me on here. They're just not interested anymore. Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes. Unfortunately, I have not seen those, so I cannot offer my opinion. But maybe I can check them out. Are they on Netflix by any chance? Request. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at your pictures now, Christopher. I think they are on Hulu. I don't have Hulu. This is cool. Do you want me to, Chris, do you want me to like show these pictures to the chat, or do you just want me to look at them? Because I can show them to the chat if you want. Or on stream, I guess. So, how are you guys tonight? You having a good Saturday night? I think I'm just gonna go live every day from now on. Show the pictures. All right. So, here's one. Our elf friend. Oh wait, I gotta get this just right. See if it'll focus. Of course, my webcam doesn't want to focus very well or at all, but there we go. We have like a celebrity in the chat room, ladies and gentlemen. This is pretty cool. Yeah, I guess I can just show it like this format. Yeah. That's pretty cool, you know. I love it when people, you know, do something creative like that. Something out of the ordinary, something artistic. You are very welcome. Work is slowing down, but that is expected to depend on buildings being made to get work. Oh, is it? Yeah. Construction worker problems. Well, I hope that work speeds up for you soon. Here's another picture. And will it focus? Will it focus? Cool. Maybe I can just do this. So do you do this only at like Christmas time or like all year round, or how does that work? Thank you so much for what you're saying on here. Here, I'm gonna reply to you on here too. All right. All year round. Cool. Okay, so what else should we discuss tonight? Oh yeah, I'm gonna look at those paranormal news articles. So I guess none of you guys are watching Shane Dawson then, his interesting series, because no one said anything when I brought that up earlier, so perhaps not. Do I play video games? I do. I'm not like a huge gamer, but I do play a lot of Skyrim. I am almost obsessed with Skyrim. That's the main game I play. Sometimes I play the game that came before that, Oblivion. I've played a tiny bit of Fallout 3 within the past year or so. I like the Silent Hill games. I haven't gotten to play all of them though. Wait, chat's disappearing on me. Luigi's Mansion is being ported to the 3DS. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have I don't know, any of the like newer devices or anything by like Nintendo. I would if I had the money for sure. You just recently bought an Xbox 360. That's interesting. Yeah, they like, I guess they stopped manufacturing them. I don't even know when it was, like 2 years ago or something. But I mean, I'm sure, of course, you can still get them. Just they stopped manufacturing them, and that's what I use all the time, basically. Is my Xbox 360. That's what I play Skyrim on. Like, If I could afford it, I would definitely get an Xbox One with Skyrim Special Edition. So that would give me access to mods, and I could just go crazy playing that endlessly, you know? So if that ever happens, might disappear from the live streams for a few weeks, you know, but it's nothing personal, just gotta satisfy my obsession, you know how it is. But no, I'd probably still try to make occasional appearances even during that time. I watched his older ones, not newer ones. I don't want to be a hater, but it's like he gets faker by the video. I see. Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't quite see it that way, but yeah, everyone, you know, has a right to their opinion. Like, I never, I never watched him back in the day. I just watched like his, I don't know. I watched his conspiracy theory ones and his like paranormal ones, and now I'm watching these like multi-part series ones he's doing, and I find them very interesting, like regardless of what all is going on. Let's see. Which, I mean, there is something about his most recent series that I figured out that doesn't quite add up to me, but I guess I'm not going to talk about it unless you guys are interested in it, because I don't know, you know, if it's not something you watch, you know, maybe you're not interested, which is perfectly fine. A custom Game Boy Color, that's cool. I remember Game Boy from my childhood. Wait, can I fix this? Come on, focus. Okay. I heard someone say a while back, like something about building like a custom original Nintendo or Super Nintendo or something, and like equipping it with an HDMI cable and everything. I think that would be interesting. Yeah, Game Boy, those are the days. Remember the first time that I ever played Pokemon on a Game Boy? It was Pokemon Yellow, and I think I was 9 years old, and it was the most magical, thrilling, delicious experience that I think I'd had in my entire life up until that point, and probably the most magical, delicious experience I've ever had since. So, those were the days. Only almost 16, but I still played with things like Nintendo 64s when I was younger. Oh yeah, that. I think that console came out when I was in the first grade, so I was so young I almost can't remember precisely, but I'm pretty sure I was in the first grade because I remember playing it when not in school at that time. Yeah, like some of those games, they seem pretty timeless. Like a lot of people still play them, even up until the modern times, I guess. I love how the conversation shifted to video games. But I like it. I'm addicted to Skyrim, though. I mean, I guess not fully addicted, but I always end up playing more and more of it. And I think I like it so much because there's so many details to it that you have to really strategize in order to play it really well. And so I like the challenge of it. Whereas a lot of, I don't know, like typical like first person shooter games and stuff like that these days, they just, or for a long time really, they'll be entertaining to me and interesting to me for a little while, but before I know it, I'll kind of lose interest. But I mean, sure, you have to strategize a lot in those too, so maybe I'm just not receiving them properly, but for some reason it just doesn't, you know, I get bored easily with those, whereas Skyrim, it's like I could never get bored of it. Still buy Nintendo 64 games. That's cool. I actually thought, that's so weird that you would say that, because I had this thought a few times just recently, where I was like, I wonder if I should dig out my old Nintendo 64 if I can find it and try hooking it up and playing it. And like, I wonder what that would be like these days after all this time. But okay, you know what, guys? I need a bathroom break, so I'm going to be right back. So I'm gonna mute my microphone. I have returned. Alright. How are you guys doing? What did I miss? Is this lighting weird? I don't know what to think. It's an adjustment for sure. Shadow Man sounds like a game I should play. Travel through hell and back chasing down serial killers. You know, when I was like, well, I don't even know how young I was really, but one game that I played for Nintendo 64 that I really liked was a game that I guess ultimately maybe isn't really that great of a game, but it was called Quest 64. But that, I think, was my first RPG of that kind. I think the first RPG I ever played was Super Mario Legend of the Seven Stars, and that was, I think, also when I was in first grade, maybe. Wow, it's so hard to remember. I was so young. But it was like not that long after I got a Nintendo 64, I think, that I got this game Quest 64, which I guess all these years later, it would be accurate to say is basically like discount Final Fantasy, which are games that I always wanted to play but never got the chance to. But I don't know. Even though Quest 64 maybe was a bit hollow or whatever, that, I don't know, something about it always left like an imprint on me, like it left its mark on me. You know, it was the first sort of epic adventure quest sort of game that I ever played. And, you know, whether you want to consider Super Mario Legend of the Seven Stars that or not, but that was for the Super Nintendo, so I don't know, just different. Talking Undead Irish Snake. That is creative. So, let's see what else we have here. Yes, I was going to read this article about the voodoo dolls mysteriously appearing throughout Russian village. So let's return our focus to the paranormal for a bit. But I think after this, I'm going to have to get off and go get something to eat. As long as I'm not too tired. Let's see, give my computer a bit. All right, this is an article by Paul Seaburn. When it comes to Russian dolls, those matryoshka nesting dolls get all the publicity because they're decorative and harmless, although the last one may be a choking hazard. They often look like older ladies. The name matryoshka means little matron, but the real-life little matrons living in one Russian town are terrified and suffering from physical ailments after their neighborhoods were overrun overnight by large, scary, needle-marked voodoo dolls. Is this payback for trolling us on Facebook? Quote, creepy dolls are nailed to the pillars, fences, and bus stops in Zavatny on the outskirts of Armavir in Krasnodar region. As you can tell by one witness's account, these voodoo mannequins aren't your normal small cloth dolls pierced with pins and bearing the facial image or a reasonable facsimile of the person who the owner hopes will feel the pain. Interesting side note, while voodoo dolls are most often linked to Haiti or New Orleans, their origin actually dates back to medieval England when folk magic practitioners known as the cunning folk are believed to have come up with the idea of inflicting pain via pins stuck in dolls made with cloth or hair or some other possession of the victim. The hole-filled dolls found in Zavatny, a town near Krasnodar in far southwestern Russia, were the size of store mannequins and dressed in girls' clothes or uniforms. Interesting. It gets worse. Quote, the little girl mannequins are pierced with needles and tied with black threads. Police report that dozens of the dolls were found in random locations in the village, a park, bus stops, leaning against fences. While it's not a crime to leave dolls around, they were concerned because the dolls were spiked with needles, although it's hard to tell from the photos, and some were missing eyes and various body parts. In addition to studying security videos, the police had to calm down the matryoshkas and old men who claimed the scary dolls gave them high blood pressure. I don't know if I should be laughing at something like that. It's just, like, that's their issue with them, is that it gave them high blood pressure. Like, wouldn't you be scared? I don't know. Wouldn't that be, like, kind of low on your priority list? I don't even know. Were these really some Russian version of voodoo dolls? One source claimed the dolls were once used in a puppet theater and were later given to a local museum, which threw them out. A security officer found them and gave the dolls to her daughter to use while teaching school. However, the dolls creeped out the kids, so she tossed them again. No one admitted to taking them out of the trash again and dropping them off around town. That's an interesting theory, but it doesn't explain the needles and pinholes reported in the dolls. For now, the matryoshkas will just have to take their medications and wait to see which ones start feeling sharp stabbing pains different than their normal sharp stabbing pains. Russian nesting dolls are so much easier to deal with. Cool. Alright, so how are you guys doing tonight? If you just joined, how are you doing? We're talking about the paranormal, though I'm probably gonna have to get off soon and eat something. Any thoughts on that article I just read? Sounds pretty weird. I'm not really sure what I think of voodoo dolls. Should do live chat every night. Well, I mean, I might start. I don't know. Like I said earlier, these live streams are a lot of fun, so I'm going to be doing them a lot more often from now on. So I might just do that for a while. Go eat ice cream. I wish I had ice cream. We don't have any right now, unfortunately. I haven't had ice cream in too long, actually. Article was good. I agree. It was interesting. Alright, you guys, well, should I come back later? What's your opinion on that? Are you guys gonna go to bed? Or, like, you gonna be busy doing something else, or would you watch me later if I came back? Because I might come back. We're just now getting new viewers right as I'm about to get off. Because, yeah, that's okay. How is this paranormal? Well, I mean, it was paranormal, and then it shifted into other topics, but we were just talking about voodoo dolls. You say yes? Okay, cool. I probably will come back later then. Yeah, these streams are a lot of fun. But I won't get off just yet. Maybe like 5 more minutes. Let's see what else we have. When the Supernatural Feeds on Us by Nick Redfern. He's been writing a lot lately, it seems, about these I don't know, incubus and succubus type entities and other entities that allegedly drain humans of energy and stuff like that. And here's yet another article from him where he's talking about it, which it's probably quite long, but I can go through it briefly. I guess he put out a book on it. I see. That's probably why he's writing about it. Actually, wait, this sounds kind of interesting. I'm going to read like this first part. Right now, I have a new book out. It's titled Paranormal Parasites. It is focused on the disturbing claims that certain supernatural entities use us as a form of food. Dan of Barstow, California, had a very disturbing encounter with 2 shadow people in early 2011, the shadow people being silhouetted figures that terrify and taunt people in the dead of night. A no-nonsense, tough biker, Dan is hardly the kind of person who is easily intimidated or scares, but the shadow things that intruded on his sleep as he slept in a tent on the slopes of Mount Rainier, Washington State in the summer of 2011 had Dan in a state of near hysteria. An enthusiastic outdoorsman, Dan spent 4 days hiking around the huge 14,000-foot-plus high mountain. He would live to regret doing that. It was around 3 a.m. when Dan woke with a start and with an unsettling and intense feeling of being watched very closely. He lay still, holding his breath and clenching his fists. Something was definitely afoot. Of that much he was sure. That's an understatement. In seconds, Dan was rushed by 2 spindly, shadowy monsters that were humanoid in appearance. Dan suddenly found himself unable to move as the 2 figures hovered over him, and he felt incredibly weak, short of breath, and dizzy. A cold sweat enveloped him. All the time, the shadow people had their index fingers on his stomach. Dan came to believe that the shadow people were quite literally draining him of his energy. Imagine waking up in the early hours of the morning and being confronted by one of the most terrifying-looking creatures that you could possibly ever imagine. A pale-skinned humanoid monster with withered arms and legs, a huge stomach, an oversized neck, and a mouth smaller than a dime. It stares at you in malevolent style as it leans in close. You suddenly develop a terrible feeling that the monster is seeking out your life force, your vital energies, and your very essence. A sudden weakness and helplessness overwhelms you as you seek to fight off the terrible thing that has suddenly invaded your space. In seconds it is gone, though, sated and satisfied by the fact that it has just fed on you. Whether you realize it or not, what you have just encountered is an ancient supernatural entity known as a hungry ghost. Wow. You've woken up to demons before? Wow. That sounds very scary. That's like the stuff of nightmares. Speaking of which, weirdly enough, last night, I only slept for like 4 or 5 hours, but I had this this weird dream that is almost reminiscent of what I was just reading, and I can't remember it entirely, but I just remember it was like I entered this place, this strange abandoned building type place, and I remember seeing like these things on the walls, or like these like humanoid figures, and some of them, it was almost like it was one, but it kept changing from one to another, and it would be like a human who looked like he was in pain, and another one was more like a weird creature, you know, that almost sounded like sort of what I just read, maybe a little bit, like with a small mouth and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's just such a weird dream. I don't normally dream about stuff like that, but like I don't think it was anything truly paranormal or anything like that. It was probably something that I read or watched, to be honest. But I just think it's kind of funny that I dreamt a dream like that just last night, and now I'm reading this article. Yeah, like you've woken up to demons before. I wish I could find some stories on that. That's the kind of stuff that I think we should be reading in a stream like this. Let's see. This is some good and unsettling stuff here. Well, you guys, I really want to continue, especially now that like some more people are watching and joining, but I'm just getting too hungry. So I'm going to get off now, but after I'm done eating, as long as I'm not too tired, I will come back and we can talk more about the paranormal or whatever you want to talk about. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like if it wasn't for all of you, this wouldn't be much of a show now, would it? And I will see you guys later. Have a nice meal. Thank you. I intend to. Thank you very much. All right, guys. See you later, hopefully.